because she wants you to be the villain. She's looking for a way out, as she has been for weeks now. Welcome back from Married at First Sight, season 20, episode 13. We open with Marissa in the kitchen talking to some of her friends. She's recapping the pickleball date that she went on with Adam, Nick, and Courtney, and it was just not fun for Marissa because she's not really into pickleball like that. So she lets her friends know that he took it very seriously and he's very passionate about his things. And she then goes into a little bit of their session that they had and how she expressed the need for quality time. And she feels that Adam has kind of pumped the brakes a bit ever since that conversation happened. Her friends are very proud of her for staying true to herself and not getting lost in the relationship, changing herself to become everything that Adam wants her to be. And she mentions that 23-year-old self of Marissa would have done that. And she kind of was doing that, but I do think she course corrected in time to kind of steer the ship straight and be like, actually, no. I'm not about to become your pickleball loving wife because this is just not who I am and you cannot really expect that of me. So later on in the evening, Adam does come home and he sits at the table with her and her friends and they're just chit-chatting. So her friends ask Adam, what are your favorite 3 things about Marissa? He says that it's her sense of humor and she's so supportive and sweet. They then ask him, what are the hardest things about this relationship so far? Like in the future, what do you see? And he said alignment on future goals because he sees himself having a very active future in his life because he likes to live a very active lifestyle. We know this of Adam, but it just doesn't seem like Adam is really willing to compromise on it. And so to me, I'm like, I think your hardest thing is going to be compromise on your front because we already see that Marissa has kind of compromised a bit and she's been doing the things that he's been wanting to do. And so now it's his turn to reciprocate some of that. So we catch up with Courtney and Nick, and Courtney brings up the group dinner from last week's episode. And she said that she feels like Nick is just not being his true self. He doesn't have any opinions. And she's like, well, maybe I shut that off in you. Courtney, yes, you did shut that off in him. This is the first self-aware thing you've said pretty much all season. And even still, I don't think you truly comprehend because you still ended that with a question mark. Like, maybe I shut that off in you. Yes. And Nick does confirm to her, yeah, you kind of have, because anytime I show myself or I show a little bit of goofiness or banter, you shut that down. And the editors even included a clip of the incident where they get in the car to drive to see her family and he's like, all right, let's boogie. And Courtney's like, oh no, my grandma used to say let's boogie. It just gives me the ick. Courtney, he has shown himself to you in little bits and pieces over and over and over again, and you just continue to shut it down. Like, nobody's gonna want to open up to you when you say stuff like that. You know, if somebody's like, let's boogie, let's hit the road, and you're like, ew, that just gives me the ick. Like, you've been icked out by this man. You don't like him. You don't. And I wish you would just be honest with everyone and stop wasting everyone's time because you like Adam. You do not like Nick. I mean, if we reflect a little bit, we know you don't like Nick. You have looked for so many ways to get out of this relationship. When you met with your family, you asked them to give you reasons basically to get out of this. You self-sabotage at every single turn. Even if we go all the way back to your wedding night, at the beginning when he told you he was on a reality show, you had no issue with that. You were so happy, ready to move forward. And then as the night started unfolding more and more, you started bringing it up to everybody, basically looking for a way out. You have been looking for a way to get out of this for basically the entire season. You are free to leave. If not, I want to see these contracts. Like, you seem like you were so scared of whatever is going to happen if you decide to end this, or maybe you just don't want to be the one to end it, so you're hoping that Nick will, and clearly Nick's not. I don't know if he wants the TV time or if he really does feel that this could work, which is absolutely delusional. We all know. We'd be blind and know this is not going to work. So Nick lets her know that he mirrors the environment that he's in and she is not goofy around him, therefore he's not goofy around her. And she's like, well, I had no idea. What do you mean you had no idea? And as Nick points out, he's like, you know, whenever we're around the other people, you're so fun, you're so goofy, and you're outgoing, but as soon as you get with me, you're just not like that. How do you not realize that, Courtney? What reality are you living in that you cannot even tell that you were a completely different person as soon as Nick enters a room? You seem completely just like annoyed by his sheer existence and his presence, which is crazy. And yet you continue to still try in this marriage, but yet you can't stand the man. Like, I don't understand. And I also don't even know what it is that you want. I know you want Adam. You like something about him other than just the way he looks, but I don't get it. It's not making sense to me. So she's still adamant that he just needs to be him. And I'm like, Courtney, you were not fostering a comfortable environment for him to be himself. He has already told you that you shut him down. And yet you're still like, well, I just need for you to be you. He can't be himself because look at how you treat him over and over over and over again. And so Nick tells her, well, I need for you to be jokey. I need for you to learn how to let mistakes go. And he brings up the whole coffee machine thing that happened on their honeymoon in Mexico. And I'm like, is she really still bringing that up? And she must be for him to mention it right now, which is crazy. Just because he didn't know how to fix a coffee machine, let it go. And she's like, okay, well, obviously, if you don't like that kind of banter, then I just don't know what to do. Courtney, that's not banter. If you are still like getting on this man for not knowing how to fix that coffee machine, it's not banter. Maybe you consider yourself roasting him, but he's not looking for somebody to roast him, especially about the same thing over and over again. At a certain point, it gets old. It just does. It doesn't matter who you are. It just gets old at a certain point. And my thing with Courtney is that she is so defensive all the time. As soon as you point out any flaw that she has, anything she could work on, immediately jumps to 100. It is 0 to 100 with her. Like, actually, this episode, my husband was watching with me, and he's never even watched a single minute of this show. And when he saw the way she was reacting in this conversation, he was like, whoa, that's an overreaction. She went from 0 to 100. Yeah, that's what she does. She needs serious help. Like, I don't think she's ever going to be in a good relationship or find her person until she gets some help, because nobody's going to be tolerating this. Nobody healthy for you is going to be tolerating this, and nobody healthy for you will be treating you the way that she treats Nick. So Courtney is still adamant, and she's like, there's no reason for you to not be comfortable with me, and we're married. Courtney, there's every reason for him not to be comfortable with you. He has already laid them out, and this is just proving you live in a completely different world. He's telling you things you don't want to hear, so you're choosing to be like, I don't believe it. That can't be true because I don't want to believe it. I don't want to hear it. Therefore, I'm going to continue living in my delusional world where I am perfect, I am flawless, and everything you're saying is wrong. It's incorrect. Therefore, you should just be comfortable with me because we're married. It doesn't matter that I've shut you down at every turn over various things and that I act like I'm disgusted by your existence, because that's not true. I don't act like that. I don't do that. That's kind of what you're giving off, Courtney. And Nick in his confessional points out that Courtney can be very disrespectful, and he feels like she's projecting a lot of her past trauma on him. Absolutely. 110%. Courtney is very disrespectful, and she is absolutely projecting her trauma onto you because she is unhealed. So Michelle and Cameron go on a coffee date, and Cameron is talking about work and how he got so pissed off at work and he lost his temper. And Michelle's like, well, I've never seen you mad. I should come to a practice so I can see you mad. And Cameron's like, no, because work really does stress me out, and I try not to let it impact me after work, and I don't want you to see that side of me because everything is going so perfectly, and I'm afraid of what you're gonna think if you see that side of it. And it's like, Cameron, I understand that you don't have really any relationship experience, but things are not gonna go perfect all the time. You will eventually either lose your temper or get mad. It's just the way things are, and it's fine. It's normal. It's nothing to freak out about. It's nothing that you feel like you need to hide from your partner. Granted, if your anger issues are bad, then yeah, get some help for that. But being mad in general is not something that you need to be like, oh, I don't want her to see that side of me because everything has been so perfect. Everything's been so happy. Cameron then brings up that he's afraid of losing passion. And to this, I just had to roll my eyes, because why did you let Felipe get in your head? Why? You're using the exact same words as him, which lets me know that Felipe is the one that got this in your head. And I'm like, please let this conversation go. Passion will fade, and it will just evolve into something else as the years go on. It's nothing to be afraid of. But again, Cameron doesn't have relationship experience, so he is afraid of it. Makes sense. Michelle tells him to get out of his head, because if you think that everything is always going to be perfect, you are setting yourself up to fail. And she's not wrong. So Devin and Caitlin are having a dinner date, and Devin asks Caitlin, what are 3 things you could talk about for hours? She says Harry Potter, Taylor Swift, and World War II. I did not see the World War II coming. I did know Harry Potter because of their first, their date, last episode or something like that. And then Taylor Swift, I assume she was a Swiftie. She fits the demographic perfectly. Devin says that he could talk about rugby. No one's surprised. You are a professional rugby player. That makes perfect sense. They then go on to recap the group dinner that was just a couple episodes ago. And Caitlin says that she was so caught off guard by everything Devin was saying. And she didn't like that she was finding that out in front of everybody. And I'm with her. Don't surprise me in front of everybody with how you feel. Tell me ahead of time. So she said that she feels like Devin, even if it's subconsciously, is self-sabotaging to elicit an emotional response out of her whenever he feels like he's not getting enough out of her. That way, once she gets emotional, he's like, okay, good, you do care. I got some emotions out of you. Now we're good. And I see where she's coming from. And I'm struggling to figure out if I agree or disagree. So I think I just kind of toe the line on this one, because I can't say I disagree, because it is very much a possibility, because he does keep bringing up that he feels like he's not getting really any emotions out of Caitlin. And the fact that he does keep bombarding her with things, and it's just emotional roller coaster with them, sort of. It does seem like, okay, he's doing things to get some emotion out of her. And I don't know why. Why does it have to be done in this way? So I do see where Caitlin is coming from that perspective. I'm just hesitant to be like, yeah, I agree. I do think he's self-sabotaging in that way for that purpose. Devin does mention that they don't really see each other much throughout the day, so he does want them to end their nights together. And he's like, do you like cuddling on the couch? And Caitlin's like, well, I like being on the other side of the couch with like my legs across your lap. And he's like, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. We can do that. And I guess that's them making progress. They seem like they're in a pretty good place. So I guess I'm hopeful for them. I don't know. Belle and Mecca are drinking hot chocolate outside on their balcony. And Lord have mercy, this conversation. I was like, there's so much to unpack here. And I almost feel like if we could retroactively open up an investigation into the way he was raised, we might need to do so, because they're having hot chocolate. Mecca burns his tongue and Belle's like, dude, it's hot chocolate. Like, it's hot. What are you doing? And she then is like, this reminds me of a childhood memory where we put a cup outside when it snows, it fills with snow, and then you pour some milk on it and then you eat it. And I was like, girl, yeah. It's called snow cream here in North Carolina. I don't know what everybody else calls it, but as a child, I loved it. It was delicious. It probably is not good as an adult, but it is a fond memory of mine as well. So Belle asks Mecca if he has any childhood memories, and Mecca says that he was jealous of his siblings because they got to go live with his stepmom, which, remember, his mom left his dad and then his stepmom left his dad. So his daddy is a problem. And he says that his siblings who lived with his stepmom, they were able to have smartphones, they were able to have social media, and he was not allowed to have any of that. And he feels like he wasn't deserving of any of that. And Belle's like, why? Why would you not be deserving? And he was like, because I just acted out. And Belle's like, do you not think that your siblings acted out? Like, your kids, you're gonna act out. And he's like, not the way I was acting out. And he then goes on to reveal not how he was acting out, but he does say that he was wetting the bed even until he was 13, and that if he knew he was about to get a whooping, he would pee himself even before it happened. And to me, that sounds like trauma, because we know that you knew how to use the bathroom. We know that you knew to go to the bathroom. You didn't say that you had bladder issues. It was just something that you were doing. And to me, that sounds like a trauma response. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. So I don't know like the layers and the intricacies of how all that works. But I do fully believe with every fiber of my being that that is a trauma response. So in response to that, Belle's like, okay, well, let me share some things about myself. And she says that she grew up beyond poor. And Mecca was like, what does that mean? And she was like, we had no lights sometimes, no water sometimes, and like to the point where I had toothpaste as like my dinner before. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, because I did not expect her to say it was that bad. And she said that that's why she works so hard now, is to make sure that she doesn't have to have that life again. She doesn't have to have that life for her future kids. And that's rough. That's really rough. I was not expecting her to say that she grew up that type of poor. She seems to have a good grasp, like a good head on her shoulders for how she grew up. And it doesn't seem to necessarily affect her too much from what we've seen. But I do think that Mecca's upbringing in particular affected him a lot. Because why do you feel like you're not deserving of anything? At first we thought you just didn't think you were deserving of love. But now we learned you didn't think you were deserving of a smartphone. You didn't think you were deserving of social media. And the thing is, why I'm like, we might need to open an investigation into his dad. Obviously I'm joking. But there's a part of me that is kind of serious. The thing that I have learned as a parent, granted my child's a baby, but his child voice, the voice that he's going to have internally as he's growing up, is going to be my voice. It's going to be the things I speak into him. Therefore, Mecca's always saying he didn't feel like he was deserving, even as a child, even as a teenager. That tells me that you were told over and over and over again that you were not deserving. And that is a problem. You are deserving. Every person is deserving of things. You don't deserve to be withheld just because you were acting out. I acted out, and you know what happened? My parents took away my cell phone. My parents took away my social media. I got grounded. But they weren't like, well, you're acting out, so you're not deserving of any of this. No, you learn, you discipline, but you don't teach your kid that they are not worthy. And I understand that he doesn't think he's worthy of love because his mom left, his stepmom left, but his dad should have instilled in him that entire time that despite what is happening with your mother figures in your life, you are worthy of love, and I do love you. And it sounds like his dad was not doing that, and that I take issue with. We pop on over to Tori's apartment, and she is FaceTiming with her sister while she cooks dinner, and she's letting her sister know she's cat sitting Felipe's parents' cat. He's like a three-legged sphinx. He's hairless, something like that. She tells her sister about the group dinner and everything that Felipe said about wanting to have a single life, wanting to sleep around, and missing that lifestyle. Her sister is very much not enthused. She's very much disappointed, as any sister would be. Tori feels that Felipe is immature and just hasn't really done anything for himself. She brings up that she thinks Felipe is babied because his mom shops for him. His mom and sister decorated his apartment. His last job he got was because of his dad, and his current job he has at the restaurant is because his whole family works there. And it's like, well, dang, when you put it like that, Felipe, what can you do by yourself without the help of your family? And Tori's like, his mom is great, but I just need to see what Felipe can do on his own. I need to see that he can handle things on his own without the help of his mom, without the help of his family, because so far the track record is he needs his family in order to do anything in life. And as a grown man, yeah, that's kind of problematic. Like, you should be able to do these things on your own. You should be able to get a job without your family. You should be able to decorate your own apartment. You should be able to shop for yourself. Overall, though, Tori just has trust issues with him. And not even about cheating, but she's like, I don't even know if I can trust him to take care of my dog. He sleeps in until about 10 or 11, and I am just not certain that I can trust him to that extent. So she was like, I'm going to get somebody to take care of my dog. And she does. She actually follows through on that and gets somebody to take care of her dog, which is crazy. Granted, I get it, but I was like, oh my God. She does end the call with her sister by saying that at the last group session, she said that she was undecided about marrying Felipe, and if they were asked today, she would say she's a no. And I think you need to stay a no, Tori. I don't think that you need to be with him. You could do so much better, and he is just not, he's not deserving, he's not worthy. I know I just said that people are worthy of things, but in this case, he's not worthy of you. So it's Belle's birthday, and Mecca has gone all out. He has decorated the house with candles, flower petals, bouquets of flowers, like multiple bouquets of flowers. So when Belle comes home from work, she's like knocking on the door. He comes and opens, he gives her a bouquet of flowers, and she walks in. She's like, oh my God. So there's a bag on the table. She opens it, and it has her angry snacks, as she said. And she's laughing, and Mecca's like, what? Oh my God. So he goes to the couch and pulls out a box. And when she opens it, it's a nice Marc Jacobs, like two-tone pink purse. And he even made the point, he was like, there's a chain inside because I know you like to wear it with the chain. And I just thought that was so thoughtful and so sweet, because I'm like, that shows you pay attention, sir. You might not say that you love her, but paying attention to a little detail like that and making sure that it has what she likes, that is an act of love. I don't care what anybody says. The box also has, looks like perfume. I couldn't really get a good look at it. And so she's basically about to start crying. She hugs him. They're laying on the couch, hugging each other. And Belle's like, nobody's ever done anything like this for me. And then when he lights the candle in her cake, the fire alarm goes off, like the smoke alarm in their apartment. It's just quite the situation. But it was a very lovely birthday. He really went all out the way he should and made her feel very, very special. And so as they're sitting down eating, Mecca's like, so after I've done all this for your birthday, would you say that you're in love with me? And Belle's like, well, you know, I wouldn't say I'm there. And then they start using like a neighborhood analogy where they're like, you know, I'm on the road, I'm on like Love Boulevard. And they both agree that they're on Love Boulevard, which is like, I guess their way of saying on the way to falling in love with each other, which is very sweet. I'm very happy for them. I do believe that they will get there. I hope they will get there. But then again, Mecca's probably going to screw this up somewhere along the line because he does like to self-sabotage. Mecca does tell Belle that he feels very strongly for her, but he's not in love. And Belle was like, okay, so what's the difference in how you act when you feel strongly, but you wait? So what's the difference in how you act when you feel strongly, but what am I trying to say? You know what? Forget it. So we pop back on over to Tori and Felipe. Felipe has just gotten home and he's like, where's the dog? I didn't get greeted. And she's like, oh, I sent the dog to be taken care of because like we need to talk. And so they sit on the couch and she's like, I just don't trust that you'll take care of the dog. She basically comes right on out with it. And he says that there's stuff that they need to get adjusted to because it's been a while since they've both lived with people, which I'm like, okay, I kind of see your point, but at the same time, I disagree. Like, her not trusting you to take care of her dog does not have anything to do with you guys getting adjusted to living together. It has more to do with the way that you function in your day-to-day life. Like, you getting up at 10 or 11 every day. I'm sorry, but the dog needs to go out before that. Are you going to be able to do that? Are you willing to do that? And so he does say that he's willing to take care of the dog. He's willing to take the dog out for a walk and then come back home and go to sleep. And she's like, really? And he's like, yeah, you know, this is a partnership. I'm being a partner. I'm going to help out more, you know, with the dog and around the house. And she's like, so not as much trash? And he's like, yeah, not as much trash. I'll do better. And I'm like, are you leaving trash around? I could see it. He did say he was a 5 on the messiness scale, but we'll see. I think it's all, Felipe's a lot of talk. That's one thing I'm figuring out is Felipe likes to run his mouth a lot. He likes to say a lot, but we need action behind those words at this point. Tori lets him know that she is nervous about the group session, and Felipe's like, I'm not. I'm just going to say everything's going great. And she's like, everything is not going great. And so they get into the conversation of he doesn't know what he wants to do, and Tori feels like he is having an internal war with himself about whether or not he wants to be married. And he's like, well, I like you a lot. And my thing is, you like her a lot, but you don't like her enough to stay married to her forever. You don't like her enough to know that you want to commit to her forever. And you can't convince me otherwise because your words, again, are saying otherwise. Your body language says otherwise. Like, you can't convince me. Tori does point out to him that he has not been curious about her. She wants him to get to know her better, but he has not been curious about her because he's been focused on himself. And he's like, yeah, I agree with that. I'll do better. Okay, Felipe. We'll see. There's not that much time left. There's what, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks left until decision day. And And I just really feel like at this point, you need to just go ahead and call it. Like, you don't want to be married, and that's okay, but stop wasting her time. That's my issue. It's okay that you don't want to be married. Marriage is not for everybody. But you sitting here wasting Tori's time is annoying. Like, at this point, I'm like, are you just here because you want to be on TV? Probably. Because who signed you up for this? You didn't sign yourself up. There's no way. If you're so unsure about being married, there's no way you signed yourself up. So who signed you up and why? Nikki and Sean are on a candle making date. And I must say, when it comes to Nikki and Sean at this point right now, I really feel like they're putting on a facade. I feel like they're tired of being roasted. I feel like they're both very aware of how they're coming off on TV at this point, and it's all just fake. That's how I feel about it. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I don't. So they're having this candle making date, and they start talking about money and finances, and Nikki says that she feels like a joint account should be used for their mutual lifestyle, so things like vacations, home improvement, stuff like that. Sean says that he feels like his wife should have access to all the money, and I'm like, yeah, that's easy for you to say when she makes more than you. Like, of course you feel like everything should be shared when she makes more than you, like, because that means that you have access to more money than what you would typically have. Whatever. Sean says that he wants to have vacation homes and investment properties, and I'm like, of course you do. You now see this life that maybe you'll have with Nikki, and you're like, oh my god, there's so much more I can do. And I just am like, I don't know. I'm so torn about this conversation. I'm so torn about it because I'm like, okay, Sean, you want to build a legacy. You want to have vacation homes. You want to have investment properties. How come you haven't done any of this on your own? You know, like Nikki makes the kind of money where she could do this on her own. We already know that you don't, but you obviously know how much she makes. And that makes me think that the way you're talking right now is like, I want to pool all of our money together because it's going to be better for me. It's going to increase what I can do in my life. And we know that's true, but Nikki does say that she feels like they're aligned on a lot of things. And I'm like, girl, you are really fake. And somebody get her an Oscar or something because she's putting on the performance of a lifetime. We know good and well you don't really like this man like that. But you two are both trying to, I think, self-correct the edit and how you're coming across by putting on a performance when the cameras are on you. So they're doing the montage of the couples getting ready before they go to their next group session. And normally I skip over these because they're really nothing burgers. But Courtney and Nick came up and it's always something. It's always something. Courtney is just a weirdo. So they're getting ready for the group session. And Courtney says that she's trying to make things better and is still here because she cares. And I'm like, I don't see the care and I don't see you trying to make things better. So I'm going to disagree with you on that point. So Nick goes to talk and respond to her and she cuts him off and immediately invalidates him. And I'm like, Courtney, this is your issue. This is exactly your issue. You don't know how to talk to people. You don't know how to be in a relationship. You really don't. And you sit there and she was like, I just want you to love me for all of me. And I feel like we're just not in the same spot when it comes to emotional maturity. I would agree with that. I do think Nick is more emotionally mature than you are. And I know that's not what you think. You think that you're more mature than him. And that's not the case. You are so unregulated, like emotionally, that your pendulum just swings. Like it is, I have never, granted in my life, in person, met somebody who acts like you. And I would be scared if I did. You kind of scare me a bit, honestly, because you're just so unregulated. And I think that's a dangerous thing. I think Nick doesn't know how to respond to you. I think he's scared of even what to say to you because you do just come in like a wrecking ball and you just knock him down every chance you get. The guy barely even talks anymore. If we want to talk about people whose light have been dimmed, like they were talking about with Devin, let's talk about Nick. He has like zero personality now because of you. You have shut him down so much that it's like he can't even get a word in without you invalidating his feelings, without you being like, oh my god, I'm so icked out, without you acting like you're so disgusted and annoyed by his existence. Why would anyone want to try and put forth a real effort and show themselves to you when all you do is bulldoze through it? So we get to the group session and first up are Courtney and Nick. No surprise there because they have the most drama right now. So Courtney speaks first and she says that they had a conversation that she thought would go well and it didn't. Surprise, surprise, right? Because their conversations never go well. And she's like, I just want him to be his true self. And he said that he's tired of her saying that he's not being genuine. And I agree with him because you don't know him. You don't even know the true him because you have shut it down every time he's tried. You don't want him to be his true self. You hate his true self. You don't like him. You don't even like the shell of the person that he's now become. And I don't know what he did to you to make you feel this way, or if you're just like, I don't know. I really think you have like a false reality, a false perception of yourself that you feel like you deserve better than Nick. And I'm here to say, Nick treated you very well considering the way that you treated him. I know so many men, and I can imagine so many men who would have put you in your place so many times for the way that you treated Nick, if you treated them that way. So Paul asked Nick if he feels like he's put more effort into the relationship than Courtney, and Nick is giving like a very PC answer, and he's like, well, I don't want to say that I've put more effort in because I don't want to diminish the effort that Courtney has put in, but I do feel like the effort I have put in has not been recognized. I would agree. I do think that Courtney doesn't like you. She doesn't want to be with you. Therefore, she's not going to recognize the effort that you've put in because she wants you to be the villain. She's looking for a way out, as she has been for weeks now. And instead of just leaving, she just keeps looking for ways out. And I think she wants you to be the one to break it off. So Paul asks if they have a strong romantic relationship connection, and Courtney is like, I don't know. Yes, you do. Why are you sitting there lying? Why? Why are you sitting there lying? You do not like this man. You have no romantic relationship or connection to him. And Nick is like, well, we have a great friendship. That's debatable. Even that's debatable. I would say you don't have a great friendship. So Dr. Lisa points out that liking a person is different than trying to figure out if you want to be married to a person. That's obvious, right? So then Courtney says that she feels like she just will never be enough for Nick. I don't know where you get that from. I think that that's actually not what Nick has been saying to you, but again, you live in a different world, so of course that's what you think. Nick says that he has a lot more to work on by staying in this experiment, but that it wouldn't be fair to Courtney. And this is where things just take a whole turn, because Courtney hears this statement and it just sends her on a whole spiral. And she just is like, well, it would be more clear what you need to work on if you would just listen to me. Courtney, no. And then she, you know what? I'm just gonna play the clip.
You could be clear if you listen, to me. Sat here and you're like, well, I want to stay because I think I'm gonna learn more about myself. It's honestly like, fuck you. Like, what the fuck?
So the whole group is in shock by her response to this. And I think everybody now, for the first time, is seeing what Nick has been going through in his relationship. And I think it's clear to everyone this is not going to work, because look at the way that Courtney talks to him. And honestly, he shouldn't have been tolerating the treatment that he's been getting, but that's not my business what he wants to do. So Dr. Paul asks, do you want to end this relationship tonight? Do you want to end this marriage tonight? And that is where the episode ends off. So we left off on quite the cliffhanger. I am going to say they need to end this relationship. Absolutely. And there are honestly probably a couple more couples. That's crazy. There's honestly probably a couple more couples that need to also end their relationship, but I highly doubt that. I think there's a lot of egos at play. I do think some people secretly want to be on TV for a little bit longer. I think that Courtney is one of those people that wants to be on TV for a little bit longer. But I'm hoping that honestly, after seeing all of this and knowing, because let's be honest, the experts do know what's been going on behind closed doors with these two, and seeing that this is just never in a million years going to work. I'm hoping that they make them, even if they don't show it, or highly convince them, persuade them to leave. I think that's the only way that this can continue, because let's be real, they're not going to grow into a good relationship in the next two. If anything, Nick is just going to get beat down more and more and more and more and more. And I didn't think that I would be defending Nick in this episode, but here we are. But that was episode 13. Thank you so much for watching. If you are also watching Married at First Sight, make sure you go ahead and click subscribe so you don't miss any other recaps, and I will see you in the next one for episode 14. Bye!